I hope I like it. They have in your the folder, they have evaluation. When they finish, this is good, please give me. This is important for me because it's the record for new workshop for the community, for find the people more interested in the business or agro-business, or everything need to do for loans or grants or private grants, everything, because it's important to me. Is the introduce, the lady is the Woodland, is a very big experience in agriculture, but not only in agriculture, they have experience in the finance. Today is a talk for the business, where some people, they want to open more new business, or they want to begin a new business. It's important to know this is part of the plan business, because when you find a grant, you need a plan business. When you have a no-profile, you need a business plan. And when you need a loan, the beginning is small business, but particular or private business need a business plan. Many questions, you can give the information for the lady. It's Allyssa, this is when they talk for you.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Allyssa Verstoppen. I am the Director of Lending at Woodland Financial Partners. We are in the Menominee-Jackson Lending Building that's just next to us. So we are a native CDFI. We provide technical assistance as well as loan capital for native entrepreneurs. So today we're going to be going through business planning, as Dulce said. Business planning, writing a business plan, we think of it not just as putting stuff onto paper, but it can kind of help you start thinking through, especially if you're starting up a business, the things you need to have kind of lined up as you start with that business. So today we're going to start with the business description, which is just one part of the business plan. All right, so since we had a previous one of just an introduction to what is a business plan. So I just threw a few slides on here just so we can review them in case you missed the training or weren't able to review it online. So first, what is a business plan? A business plan is just, really it's a formal statement of just listing out what your business is, what your goals are, the reasons why you're starting it, and also think of it as just like the description of your business, where you want to go, and how you're going to get there. So from my standpoint, I can only speak from the lender standpoint. People use business plans for grants, just for organizing your business as an internal tool, getting yourself started. From me as an outside perspective, if I see a business plan that's well thought out, it tells me that you've thought through your business and that it's someone that I would want to invest in. So whether it's an internal partner, if you're looking for someone to team up with you, even just yourself to know that you're ready to start your business, really just putting everything down on paper just shows that you're ready, you know what you're doing, and you've thought through all the different things for your business to succeed. So here are the different sections that you'll normally see in a business plan. You usually have the executive summary, which while it's first in the business plan, that's the last thing you're going to write, because essentially this is just a summary of all of this stuff. Next we have the business description, which we're going through today. There's also the operations plan, marketing plan, management and organization plan, and financial plan. If you look through what the other workshops are that we're doing, you'll see that it follows in exactly this order. Our goal is that if you attend all of these, when you come out of them, you'll have not only a business plan, but you'll also have thought through your different sections of starting your business so that you at least have a foot forward or you know where you want to go next with it. And lastly, I put on here, you also have the slides with you. These are some links of just some common resources that there are to start a business plan. This one, it's ag plan, but there is a small business plan within that. So this is an online one where you get a sign-in and then it provides resources. They're actually the basis of what I based the slides off of today. So what I like about that one is it provides links to additional resources for you to dig in further if you want into the different sections. But SCORE is also a great resource, not just for business planning, but also just for templates. They have mentors to help you mentor through business. They're just a great resource in general. SBA is another one that's out there, as well as USDA. If you are in agribusiness, USDA has some good links within that website. So I put all the URLs out there so you guys can get to them. The advice I always give people is there's not one wrong business plan template, so you just look through them, see which one's going to work best for you, and kind of stick through that. We do follow how AdPlan has theirs kind of laid out, just because they also provided some great training materials. But any of these are good places to start. All right, so now we're going to get into the business description. So the reason why I like to start with this one is that it's often the easiest one to write. You know where you've been, and that's essentially what you're going to be writing here. Okay, so the business plan, business description sections, there's the business overview, location, facilities, business history, and ownership structure. We're going to go through each of these in our next slides. And if I'm going too fast, please let me know. Sometimes I just start zooming through stuff. All right, so the business overview. So what the business overview will do is that it just gives you a general understanding of your business. How AgPlan has it is it's centered to ag. Since we're not all ag, I'll also throw in some other questions for you guys too, just to kind of help things. So it's basically, what do you do? Do you raise crops or livestock? Is it that you're doing tea? Is it, that you're going to be going back into the logging industry? Just very simple of what are you doing? If you're producing something, what are you producing? If you're offering a service, what are you offering? It doesn't have to be complicated, just a one-sentence guide will do. What's your primary market? Are you servicing just the Menominee Reservation? Are you servicing different counties, or are you just focusing on just a town? As well as the size of your business. Is it just yourself? Is it, are you hoping to eventually hire employees? Sort of that thing. And then what does the future hold for your business and the industry as a whole? It's really important to also think of not just your business, but the industry as a whole. Like, for instance, I'll use Menominee logging just because that's an easy giveaway. The Menominee loggers are essential to this economy, and there's a lot of struggles with it, but also a lot of opportunities. So just being able to frame where the industry's at in general is going to be a good thing that you'll probably want to, if not put in your business plan, just think about as you're starting your business. All right, so I did give blank sheets of paper in case anyone didn't bring notebooks. This is an activity that's just for you, and it's to answer the following questions. So we're also doing this to help you. Okay, so this will then get you started. So not only is our goal here to give you the information, but also have you guys start thinking it through, take some notes so that when you guys go back, you'll have at least some sort of blueprint started. So here are the following questions that we've got. Again, what do you produce? What are your services? Or if you don't quite have an idea yet, maybe it's just, what are you interested in? Where do you think you might want to go? Something of that nature. What or who is your primary market? For the loggers, it would be FTE, unless you want to expand that's outside of the Menominee Res. Do you have any employees? Is it just yourself? If you do have employees, how many? If you want to go the extra step, it would be like, what do they do? What makes your business competitive? What's going to set you apart from everyone else that's in the market? And then what does the future hold for your business? So I'll just give you guys a few minutes to jot down some ideas, and then we'll keep moving. All right, so another kind of easy one is, where are you located? Again, are you located here, or do you plan to have an online presence? Do you plan to have multiple locations? If you do have a physical location, especially with where we are, it's good to specify if you're gonna be on tribal trust land or if you're gonna be off. That's always a great thing to indicate. Since this one is ag focused, if you do want to include a map of your farm, since that one's ag focused, you can. And then also describe the advantages of the location if there is one. Are you, like for instance with the pizza one, are you guys located in a great location and why are you? Would be kind of an indication there. All right, facilities, again, this one is specific more so to ag, but it can also be your facilities, like if you have a physical location or a building. What size are you looking for if you don't have one secured yet? And then, you know, kind of the type, is it gonna be in a storefront or a standalone building? And then do you also have operations that would require significant facilities? I don't think you guys have any of these ones that would require like processing or anything of that nature.
I have a question. Okay, for the top one, when you said, you know, description. So how do I put it? I have land and trust, so that's where I'm gonna build my, like, equipment barn.
Like it's on tribal trust
Yes.
land? Okay, yep.
So how would I apply that to my business though? You know what I mean? 'Cause my office is gonna be on tribal land, but I'm willing to do the whole Midwest.
So are you talking just like applying for a loan that way? Or like applying for any sort of business thing that would relate to the facilities?
Yeah.
So if you're dealing with anyone that, if you're dealing with something that's on tribal trust land, just make sure you're dealing with someone that's familiar with that.
Okay.
Like if it comes to, say you wanted to build on tribal trust land or do anything like that, like we haven't done that yet, but we know other CDFIs that have. And it's just like, you just have to work with the BIA then.
Okay.
So, just make sure you're working with someone that's familiar with it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Because there are ins and outs of it, not saying that you can't do it, but yeah, you just have to make sure you're working with someone that doesn't. So like for us, like if someone came to us and said that they wanted to do that, I would just reach out to they're in South Dakota. I would reach out to them to see how they handled it, and then we would formulate something based off of that, and we would work through it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Good to know, thank you.
yeah. All right, business history. Again, this is why I like starting out with this one, because you guys should know your history. How did it start, or if it hasn't started yet, you could state that you're looking to start up now. How long have you owned or managed it, or not just own and manage, but what's your experience in it? Do you have certifications? Even if you haven't started the business, most people have relevant experience within what they're trying to work towards. So it's great to put in, you know, how long have you had experience in it? What is that experience? What certifications you might have? For like the loggers, it's good to put, you know, if you're like Sawyer or whatever level you are, it's good to list that in. If you have a CDL, stuff like that, it's good to put that in here of what your experience is. If your business is established or you've had experience dabbling in the business at all, it's also good to talk about how it's changed, how it started versus where you are now. And then also just highlight any of the biggest challenges or successes in the last 5 years that you've had. Is it that, you know, you have additional education, or you did an apprenticeship, or you know, maybe you even started your business and it failed? Like, totally highlight that here, because if I'm looking at it, that just means that you're still putting in the time, because what is failure? Not a learning experience, right? So that's business history. All right, so this is an activity for everyone, but what is kind of a major challenge that either your business or thinking through your startup has faced in the past 5 years? I always like this one because then that helps us figure out if we need to do additional like training opportunities. But then it's also good to just hear from everyone, because maybe there's bounce off ideas and we can all help each other get through starting up a business. So does anyone want to speak as to what kind of challenges they've had in the past 5 years? All right, well, we're going to transition now to ownership structure. I know you guys had already couple of you had talked about LLCs. But this part of your business description will just be describing the ownership and leadership structure of the business and why you chose it. If there are multiple owners, what's the percentage? Like say you have a partner or an LLC and there's multiple people in it. That's not just the husband and wife, but outside of husband and wife. What's the percentage of it? And then, I don't think anyone has multiple business entities, but if you do, describe the different entities and why you decided to do that. And then, yeah, detail if land and properties are part of a trust. And not just tribal trust, this would be if it's, like, if you put it into, like, your own trust, if you own that. On the next slide. So this I actually lifted from SBA. But a lot of times it's confusing to decide if you do decide to do some sort of entity, which entity is right for you. The answer that I always give is I'm not an attorney or accountant, so I don't want to tell you what to do. But honestly, it's just what's gonna work best for you. Sole proprietorship, that's the one that almost everyone does. That's just you as an individual owning the business. So yeah, just one person. The biggest difference is going to be whether there's liability or taxes. So if something happens, like you yourself could be held liable for it. So that's why a lot of times if you talk to anyone in business, they're going to suggest you don't start just yourself without any sort of entity. And then also the different types of tax that you would get taxed on, there's self-employment and personal tax on that. Partnerships are essentially the same as a sole proprietorship, except that there's 2 or more people in that. Normally what you would see is something like a partnership agreement that then would lay out, who's in charge of what. Unless you structure it as a limited partnership, you would also, each individual person could be held liable if anything were to happen. And then also you would have, self-employment tax and personal tax. The next 3 are the ones that would be actual legal entities. So we have a limited liability company, which I heard some of you guys have. This one can be 1 or more people. It's nice because the owners are not personally held liable, but you would also be a self-employment tax or a personal tax or corporate tax, depending on how your accountant is. The limited liability company is somewhat new compared to these other 2, and it's kind of like if the sole proprietor and the C Corp had a baby, it would be the LLC. I don't know, that's like the best way to describe it in my head. The 2 corporation types, there's a C Corp and an S Corp. I don't see these as often in our community, but they're totally still options. They're both 1 or more people, both not personally held liable. The difference is that how it's taxed between a corporate tax and a personal tax. I'm not an expert when it comes to C Corps and S Corps, so that's as much as my knowledge ends, other than what I see on a tax return when I'm analyzing it. But does anyone have any questions here that I might be able to answer? No?
Yeah, with the limited liability, who's in charge? Because I know sometimes when you have a not-for-profit corporation, I guess they are, you have this separate board and then people who work under the board. And so sometimes the people who start an organization go this route and then they find that they're not really in charge anymore.
Yeah, so I can't speak for like a nonprofit with a board. I mean, that's how we're structured. We're actually structured, I believe, as a C Corp, Woodland Financial. And then I haven't looked at like our articles or anything like that to see exactly how that's structured with the board. So I can't necessarily answer that one. I can answer from when you get an LLC, what you're gonna do if you decide to do one of those is you file with the Wisconsin Department of Financial Institutions, you file like an articles of organization. And then also if you're gonna have 1 or more person, the other important thing would then be to have I think it's called an organization agreement that just describes how everything's gonna be organized. So in regards to like who owns an LLC, that's gonna be described in those articles of organization, it's gonna list who are all the members. They're technically called members. And then if you do have more than one member, the greatest advice I would have is just make sure you have that, is it an operational agreement or operation agreement, I believe? Yeah, make sure you have that in place, and that will specify who does what, who has authority for whatever. And then most of the ones I see, or that I've seen in my previous banking career, it'll also say if people aren't 50-50, it'll give you the percentage then of who owns what. Won't hurt my feelings. Okay, so the first one is a dairy farm. So since you guys don't have tons of young stock or cattle, I won't go through to that. But the things that I would highlight here is that it talks about what kind of dairy farm they are. They have 70 cows. They also own land, so they have that listed. And they also rent land, so they've got that listed. And they also have the specifics on what kind of rent agreement it is. So if you are renting your building, it's always great to put that in there. Let's see what else would be a fun thing to highlight. Yeah, and then it also says, in addition, while they are mainly a dairy, they also do have a beef cow-calf herd. So they also, it's not just one strict business, they also have other kind of lines in that one. The next one is shorter. It's just, this one's an orchard. So they call out that they're a seasonal business. It says exactly what they're offering, as well as what they sell for retail and during what time they sell that. So those are all good things to keep. If you are a seasonal business, like for the loggers, if you're not working during spring breakup, that would be something that you would want to highlight in your business. Most people don't, but some people, if they are a seasonal business, they'll supplement their income another way. So that might be something you'd want to include there too, of how you might supplement that income if you are a seasonal business. All right, we're back to our dairy. Now this is their location. So it's talking about where they're located, and not just, if your business plan, you're thinking, you're not just gonna be using it in your immediate area or with yourself. If you're thinking about applying for maybe national grants or anything that's kind of outside of our area, it might be helpful to kind of put where, not just where we are in the county, but then kind of have it, I guess in our instance, it would probably be Green Bay. And then, for them, they also put what type of soil they've got. So, all right. For our orchard, they put where they're located again. They're in New York. Let's see. They also put that the community, not just them, but the community themselves has the history in orchards. And then they also have their address listed here. So again, whether it's the teas or all that and the medicinal stuff, you could always put, that's our community has a rich history in that. For facilities, what you'll also see, which is why I kept the examples in, is you'll see some of these are just one sentence of what their facilities are. And then this next one is kind of a few different examples. And I like that because we'll never tell you, this needs to be longer, or you're not putting enough information. It's gonna be whatever's relevant for you. So it doesn't need to be a 20-page thing. But as long as it's relevant to your business and makes sense, then that's all that if you were to go to anyone else, that they would ask of you. So yep, more about dairy, their facilities, they kept it really short. For lake, shore, orchard, they specified because they've got real estate and a retail shop, and they also have equipment in a greenhouse. They listed it all out here specifically. So, for instance, with your land and equipment, it would probably be good to state if you've got your equipment stored at different facilities. Some people won't just have it at one specific building, but it might be at different places. That would be a good thing to highlight. Yeah, that would be a good thing there to highlight. or if your office, like some people have their office as their home office, they don't have an office actually anywhere, so that would be a good thing to highlight too. If you have stuff stored somewhere else, but your office is in a different location, that would be a good thing to kind of talk about too. We're back to the dairy. We're to their business history example. Much like I'm assuming the loggers are, people in the dairy industry love to talk about how long they've been doing it and how long it's been in their family. So you're seeing that here. They also, let's see. Yep, it talks about how they started. They started with 28 Holsteins, now they're at 70 cows. They've got their 2 sons that work part-time, and how old they are. And another thing that they've got is that they're talking about how their sons have an interest in the dairy, and the reason why they put that, they feel they need to expand the operation to provide additional income for 3 families. If you're thinking that this is going to be possibly a family business, something to keep in mind will be, you know, if you want to pass it on to your kids, of making sure that not only are you thinking ahead with income for yourself, but think about how you're going to set up your business to be successful if your kids decide to take it over. So for that reason, that's why they've got it in here that they're looking to expand. And that's why they've done this business plan, is they want to make sure that they are being thorough so that their kids can come into the business. Business history for Lakeshore Orchard. Yeah, I was gonna say, and you can tell that even like how this is written differently. This one's written differently than the dairy. It's really super small writing. But it starts out by saying that a lot of effort has been expended to make Lakeshore Orchard the business it is today. So it even just kind of starts out differently. It says that they began in 2008. They renovated, and they also put in some hard numbers of what it cost them to bring the orchard back to full production. When they started having you pick. And then it talks about why, when they expanded into the retail items and when they started doing that. So then they say that construction started in 2016. Again, they put in how much it cost. And then they talked about, so when we had talked about the challenge of the last 5 years and kind of what was the result of it, here they've got, not only did they see the challenge and they invested the money, but then they also saw that it worked out for them. So then they put what was the outcome of doing that. And then finally they wrap it up with talking about what their future plan is. So why are they currently writing this business plan? Why are they currently applying for a grant or looking for outside investors or applying for a loan or whatever it is? That's how they end their example. All right, next we get to go through ownership structures with them. So here we've got it as the sole proprietorship with Don and May. See here, this must be a New York thing, because it says they're going to be full legal partners. So now they're forming a partnership agreement, which I haven't seen a married couple in Wisconsin have a partnership agreement. So that must be a New York state thing. If you are a married couple, it is a good idea to either have a prenup or postnup though. We have financed a lot of like divorces and all of that. So just a fun heads up if you are married and going into anything, or just even just like a brief written agreement of how you're going to handle things if the worst comes to worst and you guys are no longer together. Super romantic to talk about, but you'd rather plan for it now than if anything were to happen. And most of the time, I think there's only been 1 or 2 instances where they had like a verbal agreement, and then when they actually got divorced, like they actually stuck to what their verbal agreement was. So just make sure you guys have some sort of understanding. And then the last one with Lakeshore Orchard, again, they have it listed out. I was mistaken, the last one's Minnesota, so apparently Minnesota has different laws than us. But this one, they have it structured as an LLC, and then it states, yep, that they're both 50% members / owners. And also because this one's an LLC, they state that the LLC only holds the assets needed for business operations. So they list what the LLC holds, or like quote unquote owns. So it owns the machinery and equipment and inventory. And then all of their real estate and buildings are owned personally, and then it's rented by the LLC. This limits the amount of assets exposed to liabilities arising from business activities. Yeah, so then they just stated why they did it. Like I said, there's no one right or wrong answer, but just state what it is. So because it's an LLC, or if you had a C Corp or an S Corp, talk about what that business holds. Like, are they the ones purchasing the machinery, or are you purchasing it yourself personally? And then state why you're doing that. Those are pretty much the biggest things. State what you're doing and why you're doing it. Like what led you to make that decision. And we'll go through, when we get to the financial section in a couple of workshops, we'll also explain kind of what's an asset, what's a liability, and all of that. So if there's any words that seem new, feel free to ask now, and we'll also circle back on it later too. So if you're just in absorb mode, that's totally fine. We'll circle on it later. All right. And that's actually all that we have today. So.